Enter the mysterious world of bats, guardians of the night sky and their ecological importance. In this captivating journey, we'll shed light on these often misunderstood creatures, exploring their remarkable adaptations and vital role in our ecosystems. Join us as we unravel the secrets of their summer navigation, nocturnal behaviors, and their significance as pollinators and insect controllers. Prepare to be amazed by the unique beauty and ecological importance of bats as we delve into the often overlooked but essential guardians of our night skies. Today we will talk about bats, guardians of the night sky and their ecological importance. So before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, also subscribe to my channel. The order Chiroptera is the second most diverse among mammalian orders, which exhibits great physiological and ecological diversity. They form one of the largest non-human aggregations and the most abundant groups of mammals when measured in numbers of individuals. They evolved before 52 million years ago and diversified into more than 1,232 extant species. They are small, with adult masses ranging from 2 grams to 1 kilogram. Although most living bats weigh less than 50 grams as adults, they have evolved into an incredibly rich diversity of roosting and feeding habits. Many species of bats roost during the daytime in foliage, caves, rock crevices, hollows of trees, beneath exfoliating bark, and different man-made structures. During night, they become active and forage on diverse food items like insects, nectar, fruits, seeds, frogs, fish, small mammals, and even blood. Although all bats do not echolocate, in general echolocation is considered as one of the major characteristics of bats. Even if the role of echolocation for plant-visiting bats is not clear, they use wide-range, 10 to 200 Ks, of ultrasonic frequencies during foraging. The availability of commercially produced bat detectors contributed a lot in linking data of echolocation with the biology of bats. Bats are an essential natural resource that play a great role in providing many ecological and economic services. However, the determination of the ecological and economic values provided by bats is extremely challenging, except from the studies on ecosystem services provided directly to the production of goods and services consumed by humans. Ecological importance of bats. Bats have long been postulated to play important ecological roles in prey and predator, arthropod suppression, seed dispersal, pollination, material and nutrient distribution, and recycle. 1. As predators, bats have diverse patterns of feeding in which some select among available prey, while others are generalist predators, feeding on a wide diversity of taxonomic groups. They also opportunistically consume appropriately sized prey depending on availability within a preferred habitat. Their prey size can vary from 1 millimeter, midges and mosquitoes, to as large as 50 millimeters long, beetles and large moths, based on the species of bat. Remains of 12 orders or classes of prey belonging to 18 taxonomic families of insects were reported in the diet of bats. They also predate on frogs, fish, small mammals, and even blood of mammals and birds. Some species also eat unusual prey items, such as scorpions and spiders. Bats exhibit high species diversity, with multiple species forage sympatrically to avoid competition. A resource partition is possible through the use of diverse mechanisms like difference in wing shape, body size, and sensory cues. 2. Prey for vertebrates. Although there are relatively few observations of animals feeding on bats, a number of vertebrate predators like fish, amphibians, birds, reptiles, and mammals prey on bats throughout the world. The main bat predators are owls, hawks, falcons, snakes, and mammals such as raccoons, ringtails, and opossums. In some countries like New Zealand, forest floor dweller bats are frequently predated by the introduced rats, feral cats, and weasel. Bats generally comprise a relatively small proportion of the diet of most predators. Bats represented only 0.003% of the diet of small falcons and hawks and 0.036% of the diet of owls in Great Britain. Although diurnal raptors feed on bats during twilight hours in some parts of the world, nocturnal predation by owls is the most significant predation pressure on bats in temperate regions. 3. Hosts for parasite. The obligate ectoparasites are specialized to their hosts. The skin and hair morphology play important roles in affecting the parasite's lifestyle in terms of adaptation, feeding, movement, and egg-laying, resulted in morphological adaptations with coevolution of both species. The hair density, as well as surface structures of bat hairs and the distribution of mast cells, are very important for the host defense against parasite infestation. Although the hair density of bats primarily provides protection against unfavorable microclimatic conditions, it also serves as passive antiparasitic defense. The high hair density prohibits infestation by large parasites. However, dense fur in some parts of the host body may provide a suitable shelter for specialized small parasites. 4. Pollination. Although bat pollination is relatively uncommon when compared with bird or insect pollination, it involves an impressive number of economically and ecologically important plants. Particularly, beyond the economic value of plant pollination and seed dispersal services, plant-visiting bats provide important ecological services by facilitating the reproductive success and the recruitment of new seedlings. Many of these plants are among the most important species in terms of biomass in their habitats. For instance, bat-pollinated columnar cacti and agaves are dominant vegetation elements in arid and semi-arid habitats of the New World. 5. Seed dispersal. Seed dispersal is a major way in which animals contribute for ecosystem succession by depositing seeds from one area to another. As 50 to 90% of tropical trees and shrubs produce fleshy fruits adapted for consumption by vertebrates. The role played by frugivorous bats in dispersing these seeds is tremendous. Countless tropical trees and understory shrubs are adapted for seed dispersal by animals, primarily by bats and birds. Particularly, night-foraging fruit bats are more compliant than birds by covering long distances each night, defecating in flight, and scattering far more seeds across cleared areas. Unlike most seed dispersal by vertebrates that dispersed close to parent plants with only 100 to 1,000 away, the seeds dispersed by frugivorous bats were relatively far away, 1 to 2 km. 6. Soil fertility and nutrient distribution. Bats play an important ecological role in soil fertility and nutrient distribution due to their relatively high mobility and the use of different habitats for roosting and foraging, which facilitates nutrient transfer within ecosystems. However, the suspected importance of nutrient transfer by bats in overall ecosystem function is probably relatively low when compared with microhabitat conditions. For soil fertility and nutrient distribution, bat guano has a great ecological potential as bats sprinkle it over the landscape throughout the night. Thus, bats contribute a lot in nutrient redistribution, from nutrient-rich sources, egg, lakes, and rivers, to nutrient-poor regions, egg, arid, or upland landscapes. 7. Bioindicators. The Earth is now subject to climate change and habitat deterioration on a large scale. Monitoring of climate change and habitat loss alone is insufficient to understand the effects of these factors on complex biological communities. Ecosystems are geographically variable and inherently complex, whereas responses to anthropogenic changes are in a nonlinear and scale-dependent manner. Thus, a broad-scale network of monitoring that captures local, regional, and global components of the Earth's biota is critical for understanding and forecasting responses to climate change and habitat conversion. It is therefore important to identify bioindicator taxa that show measurable responses to climate change and habitat loss, and that reflect wider-scale impacts on biodiversity. Biodiversity indicator species have characteristics that can be used as an index of attributes: presence/absence, population density, and relative abundance of other species comprising the biota of interest. Thus, these species collectively must have characteristics that make them easily identifiable, stable taxonomy, easy to sample, and show graded responses to habitat degradation that correlate with the responses of other taxa. In addition, as environmental degradation can occur over a variety of scales, monitoring the impacts of such threats through indicator species requires the species that have broad geographic ranges. Bats, as volant taxa, fulfill this criterion better than most other taxa. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. Before you go, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.